And I think that is a perfect segue to a quote that you said releasing this poll. One big takeaway continues to be the chasm between the views of Democrats and Republicans. And I think that illustrates it perfectly because they can see a former president be grazed by a bullet, survive an assassination attempt, immediately stand up, and have two very different reactions as to what that was. So, can you talk about what you meant there?
Sure. This is not anything new. This is not new in this poll. I recycled my analysis from 3 months ago and tried to find a slightly different way of saying it because I'm saying the same thing every time we come out with a poll because it is the same thing. And it's not because I'm stuck in a rut and don't know any other song. It's because the lyrics are essentially the same. It just doesn't change. And it is that with political polarization, the two parties are so firmly entrenched in their views and see things differently that I think Democrats right now see an economy that's booming. And they're looking at this and they're saying inflation is under control, jobs are coming back, essentially life is wonderful. And Republicans are saying something to the effect of, where have you been for the last 3 years? This isn't really kind of what we're seeing. And have you been to a grocery store lately or wherever? And everything is filtered through that lens, whether it's your Republican lens or your Democratic lens. Everything seems to get filtered through that. And that's kind of how we view everything. And if anyone wants any sort of confirmation of that, I would simply tell them to, you don't even have to look at a poll, look at any news source, online source that allows comments from readers, and look at the comment section, and it's like we live in different universes in terms of how things are, how things will be if so-and-so gets elected, and all of it is so different. And I think as a political scientist, I may have said this 3 months ago, I lament that because I don't know how you bring people together in that situation. It's difficult to find, and I'm not saying everyone is there, but there are a lot of people in these opposing camps, and it's really difficult to find common ground.
Maybe Virginia could be the place to start because you have a Republican governor who has a higher approval rating than any Democrat or Republican. You have Vice President Kamala Harris up by 3 against Trump. But then you have the Senate race, which is really interesting. Incumbent Senator Tim Kaine decisively up 11 points to the Republican challenger Hung Kao. Why do you think you're seeing such a drastic ticket split there?
That in some ways, that's sort of, I think, an easier question, is because Tim Kaine has been in Virginia politics for several decades now at this point in time. He's well known. He's generally well liked. Whether, I think some people would argue he's probably politically to the left of Virginia, although maybe not, depends on where you perceive Virginia to be. But he's well liked, and Hung Kao is a largely unknown challenger, underfunded, unknown, and I was frankly a little surprised that margin wasn't greater than 11. Sometimes polls can even surprise me, that I get something that I didn't, that I did not anticipate, and that happens. But I thought it might be even greater than that, because Kaine has always been pretty popular too, and his favorables are not as good as Youngkin's right now, but his favorables are also pretty good, particularly in comparison, again, to the national figures where they're simply not. So that doesn't surprise me, and I think everyone considers this Senate race to be, if not safe Democrat, certainly lean Democrat, and I would say lean heavily. And I think most of the whatever rating services, if you will, have it as a safe Democratic seat.